Some movies entertain. Some movies stay with you. Some movies make you better as a filmmaker, as a writer, a creative, a human. Required Watching is a podcast, review series, and creator brand dedicated to films that do exactly that. It's not about lists or gatekeeping, it's about digging into the why behind films we love, hate, rewatch, and reevaluate. This isn't just a should I watch this channel, it's a lens for looking at craft, culture, and creative, all one film at a time. We don't review like critics, we review like people in the trenches, filmmakers, writers trying to get better. We look at how films are made, what they say, and what we can steal from them. We're obsessed with structure. We fall for character, we live for bold choices, daring edits, bad dialogue, and brilliant scenes that rewrite what cinema can be. Whether it's a new release or a forgotten gem or a cult classic, we ask the same thing. Is this required watching? And if so, why? This is a film club, a creative lab, a place to learn the language of cinema together. And if you care about film, then you're in the right seat. Welcome to Required Watching. A Pharrell biopic made entirely in Lego is not a sentence I thought I would ever say. It should raise eyebrows, but I think people lean in. I did. And Piece by Piece, directed by Morgan Neville, isn't just another music doc. It's a visual remix, a creative risk, and an ode to building something beautiful brick by brick. Let's talk about why this isn't just required watching, it's required rethinking how we tell stories. First of all, yes, if you've never heard of this film, it's a Pharrell biopic and it's made entirely in Lego. But Piece by Piece doesn't just use Lego as a joke. It's not a punchline, it's a metaphor for creativity, for identity, for how we assemble who we are. Each moment of Pharrell's life is built, dismantled, reimagined. The idea is that nothing is fixed. Everything is impermanent. Every song, every choice, every failure becomes part of the mosaic. That's not just clever, it's emotionally effective. Most biopics follow the same script: rise, fall, redemption, Grammy. But Piece by Piece breaks the mold, right? It doesn't tell a life story, it tells a creative story. And that's what makes it more personal. This film feels like it was made by Pharrell, not just about him. It feels more like an autobiography that was turned into a movie, right? It's pulled from the mind of a producer who's been shaping sound and culture for literal decades, and it's less Walk the Line and more Inside Out meets 808s and Heartbreak. Sorry for the reference. But Morgan Neville, who's known for his emotional, intimate portraits in things like Won't You Be My Neighbor and 20 Feet from Stardom, is fantastic, right? But then you get to this film and you really see how he plays with form, right? He experiments, and I think it works. I really think it works. There's a version of this movie that could feel like a gimmick, but I think Neville gives it structure and emotion, and he knows when to let the visuals speak for themselves and when to let Pharrell be Pharrell, and that's the key. It's not really flashy for flash's sake, it's playful and it's purposeful. The soundtrack is not just a highlight reel. I mean, gosh, the stuff that Pharrell has done and NERD has done and blows my mind, and there were even songs in there that I didn't know about. But I think it's a narrative tool. You feel Pharrell's evolution through sound. NERD and their chaos, the Neptune and their precision, the vulnerability of Pharrell in Happy and Beyond. The way this film uses rhythm and music to mark emotional shifts, I think that's screenwriting, that's editing, that's storytelling. If you're a filmmaker, watch the sound design, right? It teaches you how to layer emotion without exposition. this movie isn't trying to convince you Pharrell is a genius, right? It assumes you already know that. We all do, right? You should know this already. What it does try to do is show you how even geniuses doubt themselves. The creativity is messy and the reinvention is never done. If you're a creative person, especially earlier on in your career, I think this film is going to hit you different. It certainly hit me different. Thinking about all the things that Pharrell's gone through and the things that I'm kind of thinking about still pretty early on in my career is interesting. And I think, honestly, I think a creative film that focuses on, it's not really about successes. It focuses less on that, and it's more about building the tools to survive the failure. That's a really interesting idea. And beyond like the philosophy, I think this movie really builds on Pharrell's like way of life, I suppose. And I think one of the film's biggest idea is that creativity starts when you give yourself permission to play and have fun. And the Lego format obviously is a metaphor that reinforces that. You can break things, rebuild them, add color. It doesn't have to match, and I think that's okay. Pharrell's whole career is built on breaking rules with joy. And I think this film dares to do the same, and it's not afraid to be weird. And sometimes weird is where the truth lies. I mean, Pharrell is weird, and that's, I think, why we love him so much. Like I said, piece by piece is required. And I think it's because it reimagines what a biopic can be. It says you don't have to tell your story in one way. You don't even need to finish it. Just start building. For creatives, that's not only inspiring, I think it's freeing. It's freeing to come away from this film. This is about identity and the strange process of becoming yourself and becoming yourself wearing different hats. And I think whether you're a musician or a filmmaker or just trying to make your next move, this one is for you. Does Piece by Piece surprise you at all, or was it what you expected? There's no way this movie is what you expected it to be. I'm pretty sure you're like me, half skeptical, half blown away. So let's talk about it in the comments. Like, subscribe, and yeah, Charlie just joined us, so peace out.